What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the YouTube channel here. This is my first video over here on YouTube, and we are starting off with a bang. We are going to be going over the deck that I used to win a 350-person online tournament, Terapagos Dusknoir, one of the strongest new decks in the Stellar Crown format. Just got released a couple weeks ago. We're looking at Dortmund this weekend to be the first major in the West. Obviously, we already had the Champions League over in Japan, where Terapagos didn't do too much, but it's a different format. Over there, it's best of one. It seems like the Terapagos Dusknoir deck is a little bit more popular over here in North America and Europe, so we'll see how it does. But today, we're going to be going over my list, some of the matchups that I ran into in the tournament, and then we're going to be playing some games with the deck. So you can see the list here. It's also going to be down in a link below. We're going to have a full list for you to export into TCG Live. And yeah, so here we have 3-1-2 Dusknoir, 3-3 Noctowl. This is really the bread and butter of the deck. You know, Andrew Mahone posted a list similar to this over on Twitter about a month or so ago, playing Bouffalant and a thinner Dusknoir line, a thinner Noctowl line. But when we're looking at this version of the deck, the goal really is to win the game in 3 turns, 4 turns at the absolute most, right? And so we want as much consistency as possible so we can tempo through those turns with a thicker Dusknoir line and a thicker Noctowl line. You've got 3 Terapagos in there as well. Terapagos is going to be your main attacker in the deck. Obviously, its cap is going to be 220 with that double turbo, reducing 240 by 20. 220 is a great number right now, right? You can KO Ogre Pawns. A lot of the basic V Pokemon are going to be knockoutable with that 220 number. And if we need to hit a little bit higher, we also have the Bloodmoon Ursaluna in there for that late game pressure when your opponent's at 2 prizes, when they're at 1 prizes, so you can hit 240 into something like a Raging Bull TX. We've also got 2-2 Pidgeot. Pidgeot is fantastic in this deck. It searches out combo pieces, much like Noctowl does, but you don't need to specifically get a trainer card, so you can search out Pokemon without needing to get a ball. You can search out energy without needing to get that Colress. Pidgeot is quite good. It also has a pretty solid attack. You can use it for a double colorless energy. Blustery Wind will do 100 damage with a double turbo and remove a stadium from play. Next up, we have the engine of the deck. It's funny to say engine because it's Rotom, but yeah, Fan Rotom is a fantastic new card from Stellar Crown. On your first turn, you are able to use that ability, search your deck for 3 colorless Pokemon with 100 HP or less and put them into your hand, which is just... I mean, it's crazy, right? You can get your Pidgey, you can get your Hoothoot. It even lets you search out the Noctowl. You know, if you're trying to thin your deck, you can get that other Fan Rotom as well. This card is insane. And basically every game that we play, we're going to be trying to use that Fan Rotom on turn 1. Other than that, we've got Fezandipiti and Squawkabilly. Both of those are just card draw, right? Squawkabilly is one of those cards where if your turn 1 hand is bad, because we want to win quickly, you just got to throw it away and try and get a setup going, right? This is a combo heavy deck, and so you need a lot of pieces to accomplish what you're trying to do on each and every turn. So the Squawkabilly is going to be important there. Fezandipiti more for the late game, right? If you need a lot of combo pieces in order to close out a game, the Fezandipiti is going to help a ton. Moving on to the trainers, we've got 3 Iono and 1 Research. Like I said, you're only really trying to play the game for, 3 or 4 turns at the most. And so having a ton of supporters isn't super important. But we go for the 3 Iono because we have the ability to give our opponents diminishing resources by giving them knockouts with the Dusknoir, right? If we are against a deck that hasn't taken any prizes, but we pop a Dusknoir and a Dusclops, right? When we Iono them, they'll draw less cards, which makes it very strong combos very well with the Dusknoir. 1 Research for the end of the game. A lot of times to close out the game on turn 3, you're going to need to go for multiple Dusknoir, and sometimes that can be hard to do without a lot of cards, and so we're playing the 1 Research in there as a way to just kind of ditch our hand and see if we can get all of the pieces we may need. 1 Boss's Orders, obviously you need Gust, right? When you're only hitting 220, some Pokemon have more HP than that, and so we have the Boss in order to KO some of those weaker 2 prizers like the Ogerpon, Regidrago V, Lugia V, anything with 220 HP or less. Briar is in there if we take a knockout with Terapagos. Obviously a very strong new card when our opponent is at 2 prizes, which we can force them to pretty easily using the Dusknoir. You'll get to take an extra prize so long as you take a knockout with your Terra Pokemon. This card is absolutely broken. I would never cut it from the deck. I've seen some lists not playing it, but for me, one of the best cards in the deck. And then we've got Colress Tenacity. For anyone who has played combo decks in the past, having cards that are 1-for-2 exchange is very good. That's what Colress does. You can Noctowl for a single card that gets you 2 combo pieces, right? Gets you your energy, gets you your stadium. So it's very, very powerful. Next, we got 4 Candy. Some lists have been running 3. I like 4. Again, if you're going for a very, very, very fast turnaround on the game, you need that Rare Candy so that you can Dusknoir as much as possible. If you're playing a slower list of the Terapagos, one with the Bouffalon, 4 is probably too much. But for this version, we just want to go fast. We want to win the game quickly. 4 Nest Ball, 3 Ultra Ball, and 1 Feather Ball are the Pokemon search, as well as 2 Buddy Poffin. The Nest Ball gets you Terapagos. Ultra Ball can get you Noctowl, it can get you Dusknoir, Pidgeot, whatever really you're looking for. The 2 Buddy Poffin are in there for the Rotoms and the Duskulls, the Hootoots. And then Feather Ball is one of the best cards in the deck. Almost every single game you will play Feather Ball. Your first Noctowl very often is going to be for Feather Ball Rare Candy, so you can get the Pidgeot into play and continue to combo from there. Outside of the ball search, we've got 2 Night Stretcher, which is great for getting back your Dusknoir pieces, as well as when your Area 0 stadium is bumped. Oftentimes, the first thing that you'll get rid of is your Noctowls, because they don't have value on the bench anymore. And so that Night Stretcher can turn into a follow-up Noctowl if you've discarded one of the first ones. Double counter catcher in there because a lot of times we're going to be behind on prizes, either because we pop Dusknoir for not a KO or because we put our opponent in the Raging Bolt matchup, but Turbo matchups kind of in general, you want to push them through a 1 prizer at the beginning of the game. And so then you use that counter catcher to take your first 2 prize KO. Prime Catcher is our ace spec of choice for a similar reason. Also gives us a switching option against things like Snorlax, Control, any deck where we might want to switch. And then 4 Area 0 Underdepths. Obviously, you need 8 bench Pokemon in order to do the max damage, and so the Area 0 Underdepths is going to be incredibly important there. 4 Double Turbo, because that's how we attack, and the 1 single copy of Jet Energy, it doubles as a pivot, right? You can use it to attack with Ursaluna on 2. You can use it to attack with Rotom. Fan Rotom has an attack that does 70 damage for 1 energy, so long as there is a Stadium card in play, and the Jet Energy is very, very powerful in tandem with that. So that's the list. We did play against some very fierce opponents here in the tournament. Not all of this is accurate, but yeah, if you look at my tournament run, we did hit a Guardy round 1, Regidrago round 2, Palafin, Aegislash, Lugia, Snorlax, Raging Bolt, right? We kind of hit a whole range of the decks in the format. The one thing we did not hit is Charizard, which was very lucky because Charizard is by far and away our worst matchup. But I did go undefeated 8-0 in the first round of Swiss. I did not play in day 2. I had to go help my girlfriend with something. And so instead of playing in phase 2, I scooped Taw Blitzel, ID'd with Crash here. I got the bye for asymmetrical cut, and then I hit a Miraidon, a Guardy, and a Pidgeot in top 8, top 4, and finals respectively, where I was able to go undefeated as well to win the tournament. So as you can see, the deck has a fantastic matchup into a whole array of different decks. So let's just jump into some games so I can show you all how the deck works. Alright, so jumping right into the game here. With Terapagos, we are planning on going blind first. I don't actually think there is a matchup where you want to go second. Terapagos EX's attack, the one that we're using anyway, has an addendum stating that you can't use that attack on your first turn. So going second isn't very valuable for us. We're a deck that wants to evolve, and so going first kind of gives us the best way to do that. It does look like we lost the coin flip. Most decks in this format, it feels like, want to go first, so I would expect that we're going to end up going second here, but we'll see what our opponent ends up doing. Yep, they do choose to go first, so we are going to be on a little bit of a back foot right from the get-go here. We do start with the Fan Rotom. We have Candy Pidgeot in our hand already. So even though we're going second, this is looking to be a pretty good hand, right? We have the Professor's Research, although we have double turbo in our hand. So the likelihood of us using that here, I think, is going to be pretty small. We're probably just going to use Fan Call to attempt to get a decent board set up, but it'll depend a little bit on what they're playing. It does look like we're against Charizard. A little surprised to see them to choose first. That's not necessarily typical. It's possible that they've just hit a slew of Regidragos and they're trying to preempt just a little bit here. but they don't get too much down. They just go right for that instant charge. We do get an Ultra Ball. I don't know that we're going to use it this turn necessarily. We could, though. We can just kind of go for a setup. Now that we've got that Ultra Ball, we can just kind of go for a pretty decent setup here. Grabbing a couple Hoothoots, going for the Pidgey, and then just hoping that this turn we don't get knocked out, right? As long as our Pidgey survives a single turn, we kind of have everything we want. I don't necessarily want to research here. We've already got Candy Pidgeot in our hand, so I think we're feeling relatively safe to just pass. We don't have a Stadium card here either, so we can't really Assault Landing. I mean, we could dig for it to KO their lone Charmander, but I think it's a little bit greedy to use our resources that way. Maybe if we didn't have all of the things that we have in our hand, but we'll see, we'll see. I do believe they're probably going to end up going for an Arven here, trying to just get their board a bit more set up. Yep, there's the Arven. Presumably going to get a Charizard into play on this turn. Going for Buddy-Buddy Poffin and the Forest Seal Stone. Buddy Poffin probably grabbing Pidgey, probably grabbing another Charmander here. And then I would imagine if they have a Charizard in hand, they're going to use that Forest Seal Stone to get either the Candy or the Zard, whatever piece they happen to be missing at the time. We'll kind of determine that. Yep, they throw the Forest Seal on the Rotom. Are they going to use it or are they going to instant charge? We didn't pressure them turn one. Okay, so they do decide to go for the Forest Seal Stone here. Like I said, Charizard tends to be one of our worst matchups. It's not unwinnable by any means, but 330 HP is a lot of HP. Luckily, they did use Arven this turn. They're not going to be able to boss our Pidgeot, or our Pidgey, right? So that means we'll be able to get the Pidgeot on the following turn. And even just hitting this for 220 damage is not bad, so long as we can get a Duskull down this turn. They do go ahead and attach 2 Fire Active, 1 to the bench Charmander. They have the Prime Catcher. Oh, that's such a shame. That's such a shame. Okay, this is going to be a little bit more difficult of a game then. Them getting the Prime Catcher there is not great for us. A bit lucky for them, but that's okay. We will pivot. We will pivot. So they knock out the Pidgey. It's possible that it was probably better for us to just grab one single Hoo-Hoo here instead of instead of the 2 that we ended up getting to get a second Pidgey. There's a Dusclops, not too helpful here. We're going to get rid of a double turbo because we're going to end up getting rid of one anyway. We can grab the Terapagos. Unfortunately, going to have to get rid of a lot here. I'm going to go ahead and... I don't really want to take a 2-prize knockout here. I think realistically, we're probably going to want to KO the Pidgey. So let's go ahead and bring that up. Go here. Wow, that is really nothing to work with. Yeah, really nothing to work with here. I already used, and actually already using the counter catcher here kind of works against me because now I'm not even going to be able to KO the Pidgey. I can hit Charizard for 100 damage. I can even hit it for 130 damage here, which I do think is what we'll end up doing. Bring up the Charizard and just smack it for 130. This is not looking like a very good game, though. We're kind of struggling. Them knocking out the Pidgey there doesn't feel very good. We're not going to play the Underdepths just because we don't want to give them the opportunity to fill their bench. But we're going to be struggling here a little bit. We didn't even get a Duskull into play this turn. No Duskull means that we're not going to be able to blow up that secondary Charmander. We're not going to be able to blow up the Pidgey. So we're definitely on the back foot a little bit. But we'll see if they're able to knock out this Terapagos this turn. It looks like they're going to go for the Dusclops in order to pull off that play. I don't hate that play from them. I think it makes some amount of sense, for sure. They are going to give us a prize, which does mean that in theory, we can take 5 prizes in one turn, utilizing that Briar. I don't necessarily think we have the setup in order to, like, pull that off reasonably. Okay, but they do Iono. They do Iono, so maybe... Let's see. Candy, Nest Ball. I mean, our hand is actually just worse than it was before now. We're going to need to draw something. Because we can't... If they KO the Terapagos, we can't Nest Ball for Fezandipiti. Because then we're filling our bench. So really, we need Noctowl off of this, Pidgeot, Night Stretcher, Ultra Ball. That's great. That'll get us there. That'll get us the Pidgey. So we take 1. They're going to take 2. Burning Darkness here. All right, let's see if we can pull it off. We need quite a lot to win here. We need the KO. No, we can't do it. We can't do it this turn because we don't have a Duskull. But we can definitely KO the Charizard. Yeah, we would need Duskulls in order to pull it off this turn. But yeah, we can KO the Charizard. There's a Noctowl. That's pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and grab Terapagos. We're going to go ahead and play the Area 0 Underdepths. We're going to get a couple of these. There's only one Duskull in the deck. Okay, well, it's certainly interesting. It's certainly an interesting game thus far. So we'll grab these. We'll go ahead and go for the Noctowl. We're going to get Iono and Feather Ball here, most likely. Yeah, we'll go Iono and Feather Ball. They don't have too much going for them on their bench at the moment. So if we can take this KO here, we are looking to be in a decent spot. We could also take the KO with Ursaluna instead of Terapagos if we want to. But I don't think it's necessary. So we're going to go ahead. I think we are going to Ultra Ball for a second Terapagos. Are we going to Ultra Ball for a second Terapagos? We do still have another Night Stretcher in deck. So yeah, I think we do want the second Terapagos. The reason for that is because we don't want our whole board to get discarded if they go for the KO on our Terapagos on the following turn. So we'll Iono, we get fresh 5 cards. They only get 3. There is the double turbo energy. So we're going to be able to get something else off of the quick search here. I think we can preempt a little bit and grab the Fezandipiti. Yeah, I think this is probably pretty reasonable. It's going to get us some more cards next turn. Go ahead and retreat into the Terapagos, and we'll take the knockout on the Charizard. And so then next turn, we would be looking to finish the game using a combination of a Dusclops and some form of Gust to KO this Rotom. If they're able to take a 2-prize knockout this turn, we're not going to be able to do that. Realistically, if they get a Charizard on this turn, we probably lose, right? They're going to be able to take the KO, and we don't really play a way to stop them from taking a follow-up KO, right? We don't have a way to one-shot a Charizard from full health, so we're just kind of hoping that the Iono sticks them for a turn. Unless they pop Dusknoir, right? If they can pop the Duskull for us, Dusknoir wins them the game. Charizard plus Dusknoir wins them the game. I think they're not necessarily sure what to do here. Let's see. Let's see what they decide. They promote the Duskull. Okay. Do they have Charizard? If there's no Charizard, I think we've just got it. There's 3 fire in the discard already. And so that means if they want to use Charizard this turn, most lists are only playing 5 fire. Cleffa, okay. Okay. Let's see. What do they do here? Did we stick them? Did we stick them with the Iono? Instant charge. So we are going to be able to find the way to win this turn. We're going to quick search for... Okay, we just got the Briar. So we can quick search for... we just need Candy, right? Because we can go Candy, Dusk, Briar, KO for 2. Yep, so we win. We go ahead. We play the Candy. Candy into Dusknoir. We will Dusknoir pop one of their benched Pokemon here. We'll get rid of the Charmeleon. They will go down to 2 prizes. We will go down to 2 prizes. And then we will be able to use that Briar to take 2 prizes on the opposing Duskull to finish the game. See, even from a terrible spot at the beginning, we had to go second. We lost our Pidgey. We were still able to come back and win this game. We're going to go ahead and use the Briar, play the Duskull to the bench, and hit for 220 damage using that unified beatdown to wrap up the game. Yeah, I do think that we definitely could have played a little bit better at the beginning there. You know, using that Rotom, right? It was not very likely that they were going to be able to find Candy, Zard, and Gust to kill our Pidgey, but we probably should have played a little bit safer around that, deciding to grab double Pidgey off that initial Fan Rotom. But the rest of the game, we were able to navigate pretty well, right? Using that Iono to limit their hand size on the same turn that we KO that Charizard, playing to that win condition, and we were able to pull it off. So let's go ahead and we will get into another game. All right, hopping into another game here. Hoping to be able to go first this time around. We would love to see something other than Charizard here as well. We do lose the coin flip, so it's up to our opponent if they want to let us go first or second. Let's see it. Let me go first. I would love to go first here, so seems like they're really deciding. Seems like they're really deciding. We get to go first. That's great. Hopefully we can get a good hand here. We do start with Hoothoot. Our hand is okay. Our hand is very okay, I would say. It's going to depend a little bit on what they have as well. But I feel pretty all right about this. If this is Raging Bolt especially, it does look like it's going to be the Raging Bolt. So our main goal in this matchup really is to force them through a one prizer. So we're probably going to go ahead and do that this turn. It's looking like we're probably going to need quite a lot of stuff next turn. So I think we're just going to Ultra Ball away that Noctowl instead of the Fezandipiti. We're going to go ahead and Fan Rotom, and we will set up our board a bit, grabbing probably a Hoothoot and a couple of Pidgeys here. Saving a bench spot for the Fez and or the Terapagos if our opponent does not take that first knockout. Because if they don't, then we will be able to take the first knockout. We want to leave a Noctowl in the deck because we don't currently have access to Terapagos. Not having access to Terapagos basically just means that we can't use the Noctowl. So if our opponent is unable to take a knockout this turn, then we'll probably just play the Iono. Throw the Area 0 Underdepths into play and play the Iono, hoping for a Terapagos and then maybe an out to Noctowl. By discarding this Noctowl, we make Night Stretcher an extra out to it as well. They do go for Crispin, so that means they're going to be able to attack us with the Teal Mask Ogerpon, which is hilarious. That is hilarious. I do think we're probably going to end up... Oh, okay, they're just going to attack with Bolt. I guess that makes sense too. Just trying to prevent a knockout on a 2-prize Pokemon this turn. Prime Catcher, KOing a Pidgey, makes some amount of sense here. I do actually think if there's 2 Pidgeys in play, the Hoothoot maybe is a more valuable target. But nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and promote the Pidgey here. We will probably Fez before Iono, because if we get an out to Terapagos, you know, we're just kind of chilling. So we'll go ahead and flip the script. We do get the Terapagos. We get both of our Noctowls, which is fantastic. We're going to play the Area 0 Underdepths. And now we're just going to pop off, right? We can get Feather Ball and Rare Candy here to get the Pidgeot. Do I have a Pidgeot in deck? This is important to check. We do have the Pidgeot. Is our Prime Catcher in deck? It doesn't look like it. So we're going to have to use Counter Catcher here, which is totally fine. Our active Pokemon has For Your Treat as soon as we evolve it. So we will go ahead and go Rare Candy into Pidgeot. We're going to go ahead and Nest Ball for a backup Terapagos here. And then we are going to set up some Duskulls for the following turn as well. Well, we have to Noctowl then, I guess. Because we need Counter Catcher and we need Buddy Poffin, which is fine. We'll just go ahead and Noctowl for a Buddy Poffin and a Counter Catcher. Let's see. What do I have in here? Yeah, maybe I can even go ahead and grab... it might actually just be one Noctowl, one Duskull, one Hoothoot. I only need one Duskull to KO this next turn. And so then, yeah, I can go for the Counter Catcher here. And I can go ahead and grab the Rare Candy for next turn. Well, maybe I'll just research here. I think it's actually probably better to just get some card draw going. See what we got. Nothing crazy. Night Stretcher will get us Noctowl next turn, which is still pretty good. So we'll take this KO. And if they don't have another Pokemon, we're winning on the spot, right? we can go for that Dusknoir pop and KO their active. And we're going to feel very, very good about that. But this is kind of what I'm talking about, right? This is your standard turn 2. It's just a full board pop-off, right? They didn't have too much going for them on the previous turn, and so I don't feel pressured to get more than one Duskull. They do go for another Crispin here. The Crispin Raging Bull, hey, maybe it's pretty strong. You don't know. They are going to be able to take the knockout here, but if they do not... Yeah, okay. If they don't bench another Pokemon, we are just going to be able to go ahead and go into the Dusknoir, attack with either a Ursaluna or the Terapagos, and finish the game that way. So let's see. Go up with Pidgeot. Let's see what we draw into. But we should be guaranteed the win here. We've got access already to, everything that we could possibly want. We go ahead and flip the script. No rare candy, but yeah, they're going to go ahead and concede. We have everything we need here, so we're going to be able to win that one. And we will hop into one more game before we wrap up. All right, sorry for the change of atmosphere, everyone. I did have to stop recording earlier to get back to coaching. But we're going to record one more game here. Hopefully we can win a coin flip. Would love to see one coin flip win for the day. Let's see. Obviously, we'd like to go first. So even if we lose, maybe they'll let us go first. Okay, we do lose. Lots of decks picking first right now, but a lot of the turbo decks especially want second still. So we can see what they do. They are choosing first, though. So plenty of things this could be. Lugia, Regidrago. Lots of that kind of stuff. We do get the Fan Rotom, so depending on what they're playing, we might not want to put this Terapagos in play on turn 1. Looks like a Rotom. That implies that it's going to be, Dragapult, Charizard, one of those matchups. Once again, coming after us with the Charizard. Unfortunately, it seems as though we cannot escape it. Yep, there's the Pidgey. See what else they've got going for them, or if it's just going to be an instant charge here. Bravery Charm. Oh, so we're against Control. It's looking like this is Pidgeot Control, which is a very interesting matchup. This matchup is actually very, very interesting. So I'm glad that we get to showcase this a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and bench the Terapagos. We're going to bench the Hoothoot, and we'll start getting a little bit set up here. We're going to grab Hoothoot, Pidgey, and another Noctowl. We're not necessarily pressured on turn 1 by this deck, so we can kind of just set up pretty naturally. Grab a Duskull here. It's going to end up being very important in this matchup. We'll attach the double turbo, which is a little risky. I will be honest, it's a little risky to attach the double turbo against Control like this. They can Giacomo this turn. If they find it, if they, have the ability to do so. But they have limited themselves a bit, right? They can't necessarily Forest Seal Stone, so looks like they are going to Ultra Ball, though. Probably going to get the Pidgeot out. But we might be able to knock it out next turn, to be honest with you. We've already got the Duskull, so depending on what they've got available to them, they're going to go ahead and discard the Mimikyu. It's interesting. It's an interesting choice. I do think Mimikyu is one of their better routes in this matchup. But obviously it's not perfect, right? Because the Fan Rotom Assault Landing, 70 damage is exactly enough to KO the Mimikyu. So I do understand the desire to just get themselves set up here. So they're going to go Arven, probably going to grab Force Seal, probably going to grab Candy to get that Pidgeot into play, and then start setting up their board here a little bit. Does mean that they're not going for Giacomo. So in theory, we do have a chance to knock out this Pidgeot on turn 2, which is exactly what we want to do. They're going to grab the Hero's Cape, so it means we'll probably not be able to KO the Pidgey here. A little bit of a shame, but it is what it is. We can just start setting up for some easier KOs. Yep, Hero's Cape onto that Pidgeot EX. Makes sense. Gonna have Quick Search here as well. Yeah, I'm not sure what they would get necessarily, though. Usually I think their best plan into me is that Mimikyu route, but maybe they'll start trying to go for Lux right here. We shall see. Yeah, so my goal for the following turn is going to be to start setting up some Duskulls, try and get to a point where I can, more easily take out this Pidgeot EX, because that's going to be my primary target, is knocking out the Pidgeot EX in a single turn. Because once we can take out the Pidgeot, the rest of the game becomes a lot easier. We do top deck a double turbo. not specifically helpful here. We're probably going to go after the Pidgeot, use that Feather Ball and Rare Candy to set up the Pidgeot. We did not prize any of our candies, which is great. We didn't prize any of our Duskulls, which is great. We are short on a single DTE, but I think that'll be okay ultimately. So we'll go ahead and grab Pidgeot. I'm almost certainly going to Iono this turn. I don't see a really great reason not to. I'm probably looking towards KOing Lumineon here. So if I go here, I can get Iono plus Stadium. Yeah, I can go Iono plus Stadium. Yeah, I kind of need a lot here, right? No, it's probably this and then quick search for Iono, right? No, because if I just draw into it naturally, yeah, it's this. It's definitely this. So we will Iono, see what we draw into here. Hopefully some decent stuff, yeah. So we've got everything we need in order to take this knockout. We're going to go ahead and Nest Ball for another Hoothoot here. Just to get things moving. And then I can quick search for that Prime Catcher to be able to knock out the Lumineon. Not too pressed about getting another Terapagos into play. It's not super likely that our opponent's going to knock us out, at least not this early. So we can KO this Lumineon and start looking towards the following turn. We do have our Jet Energy in deck. We do take the double turbo as well, which is huge. We don't want to lose our energy. One of the routes that they may end up going for is Counter Catcher plus Giacomo, in which case our Switch and our Jet Energy are going to be very valuable, right? So we'll see. We do have the Ultra Ball to potentially go for a Noctowl next turn. We've still got Pidgeot, so in theory we could get double Dusknoir next turn and deal with this Pidgeot EX. But we'll see what ends up happening here. I'm curious to know what they end up going for. Obviously, we don't have a way right now to KO this Rotom. Our Ursaluna is nowhere near where we would want it to be in order to do that. Yeah, okay. So they do Giacomo. They're going to retreat into the Rotom. Do they go for the instant charge here? Yeah, they do just go for the instant charge. This makes me think that we should just KO the active. Well, that makes me think we should KO the Pidgeot. Do I do enough? Do I have enough to KO Pidgeot here? So if I do 130, it's at 250. So we'll quick search for... Oh, our Noctowl is gone, actually. Yeah, our Noctowl is in the prizes. Okay, that makes things a little more complicated. So we go Candy Dusk and just KO the active, right? Yeah, I think this is probably correct. It's just Candy Dusk and KO the active. We can get rid of the Briar. We can get rid of the Rotom. We don't need either necessarily. So we'll go ahead and grab Dusknoir. We can go for the Candy. We've already got the double turbo, so we can go ahead and commit this. Yeah, I mean, now we are limited to a single Dusknoir. So it's a little bit of a shame. If we had Noctowl here, we would have been able to KO the Pidgeot, but unfortunate, a little bit unfortunate. Ultimately, we'll be fine. Because we will just take this knockout here. They're going to be able to Ursaluna us, which is vaguely concerning, but if they do go for that, we can just win next turn, right? So we'll take the knockout into the Rotom. Again, kind of surprised to not see them go for the Mimikyu line. But, you know, whatever their prerogative is, they still have a giant Pidgeot staring me down, right? We still need probably at least another Duskull to start setting up to KO this. Bringing up a Noctowl here makes some sense. I do still have Switch, so as long as I can play towards that, should be fine. I just need to really start trying to set up my board, right? I could even attack this, really. Does the 60 damage matter? It does. I mean, the 40 damage does matter. Puts it 340, and then 130 puts it at 210. So it's not bad. I mean, yeah, it's really not bad. We'll see what they go for here, though. I can also just get Jet Energy, right? And just hit this thing with Fan Rotom. Doesn't sacrifice my double turbo, although I do still have 2 of them, right? We're not necessarily in a point where we're panicking for energy. Okay, there's the Mimikyu. So now we're definitely getting Jet Energy, right? There's no world where we don't get Jet Energy here. We kind of want to discard a Noctowl so that we have access to it. Okay, they can get rid of our counter catcher. We don't mind. It's all good. Go for it. Go for it. We're never going to use that after this turn, so... Yep, they go ahead, they Mimikyu. Here's the PAL pad. Probably grabbing back the Airy. Maybe another piece as well. Probably the Giacomo would be my guess. No, just grabbing the Airy. No, they do. Okay, okay. I was going to say, that's kind of crazy. Not getting Giacomo there feels a little bit bold. We do get another Duskull. That's actually pretty good. So we can go ahead. We can quick search. We can grab the Jet Energy. And we will be able to go up and take this KO on the Mimikyu. Maybe they Giacomo after that, but we have a 50-50 chance to get Noctowl as well this turn. So we'll go ahead. We'll hit for 70. Take the KO. Hope to get Noctowl. We would really, really like to get Noctowl here. Come on, Noctowl. No, Fezandipiti. All right, that's fine. Who needs Noctowl? We can just use the Pidgeot, hopefully, to be able to finish the game. But we'll see. So they're probably going to Giacomo us. I would be surprised to see them do something other than Giacomo us here. They do counter catcher. Okay, probably back into a Noctowl. Can't imagine why you would bring up something other than Noctowl. I guess Hoothoot is like maybe technically better. Unless they're KOing Dusclops here. If they KO, yeah, okay. If they're going for the KO, then this makes sense. This makes sense, yeah. So they go for the Pidgeot. Do you have the Giacomo? Yeah, they still can quick search. So they can go Giacomo now. It's definitely interesting. It's definitely an interesting play. Is that your play? Giacomo? Yeah, okay. Huh. Alright. I'm not necessarily opposed to this as a choice. It feels a little bit risky. It does give me access to Noctowl again. Can I win this turn? No, I don't play Thornton, so there's not really a way to. So we'll just go Pidgeot. I can bench Fez. I've got a Stadium. So we go Fez. You have 2 Duskull in there. So we'll play Area 0. We can play Nest Ball. Grab another Turtle. Yeah, I can't win this turn. I can't win this turn. And then Fez. Ultra Ball, Iono. What would Ultra Ball get me here? Like, not enough, right? I don't have Duskull. So, I mean, I can Iono them to 4 and then quick search for the double turbo. Because I need to hit this, right? Ultra Ball, yeah, sure, that's fine. And then, yeah, we'll go here. I have to hit it. So we have to go double turbo. But we are getting, I mean, like, our resources are getting kind of scarce. So we'll go here. We'll hit for 160. We'll hit for 160. We'll see what they do. It's not enough to kill, but now they're at 220, right? So now they're in range. Worst comes to worst, we can just use Ursaluna to finish the game. They could also, I mean, like, Blustery Wind KO Duskull could be a little annoying. What else could they do here? I mean, really nothing, right? At least not as far as I can think of. They could go Ursaluna. Ursaluna take the KO. But then I can go, you know, pop my own Dusclops, take the KO with my Ursaluna, right? But maybe that is their best play. You know, I have a 1-card hand, so maybe they're just hoping that I don't have it. I mean, that seems sort of reasonable. Seems sort of reasonable. Let's see, what do they go for? Lost Vacuum, so they're going to remove the stadium. That makes some amount of sense. So once again, we'll just get rid of Noctowl. No real reason to keep it. What else do you have? Are you just, I mean, because Blustery Wind does the same thing, right? Am I missing something? No, they just Blustery Wind. I mean, it's not a KO. So, but if I go Night Stretcher, Noctowl for Candy +1. Is that enough? 130. Yeah, it is. So we go Night Stretcher. We go Noctowl. We Noctowl for Candy Stretcher. Because we'll do 100 damage. Yeah, there we go. We do go ahead and take the win there. That was a very interesting game. Typically, I would expect them to play a little bit more aggressively with Mimikyu. But they chose to go for the Cape Pidgeot, and it seemed okay. It seemed okay. If you're knocking out a lot of my Duskulls, that does seem like a pretty good play. But yeah, that is the Terapagos Dusknoir deck that I used to get first place at the Blue Ditto tournament. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. You can subscribe to the channel down below as well. And I would love it if you would leave a comment telling me your favorite game, your favorite part of the deck. And of course, if you have any questions about the deck, feel free to throw them down below as well. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your night.